Welcome back, guys. In the previous lecture, we proved how we can find X, which is the matrix of unknowns. We said that in order to find X, I should have A, which is the matrix of coefficients, and A should be square, because if A is not square, I cannot have the inverse of A. And we proved how X will be equal to A minus 1 times B. Now remember the simple example that we did by hand in the previous video, and we found that x1 and x2 should be equal to 5 and minus 2. Now what if I'm going to do this using the inverse of A times B? So basically, guys, I know that x should be equal to A minus 1 times B, and I can find A minus 1 since A is a square. Now, how can I find the inverse of a 2 by 2 matrix? I know that only in the case of 2 by 2 matrix, I can flip the diagonal side and then I put minus for the remaining terms. And don't forget times 1 over determinant of A, which means A minus 1 should be 1 over the determinant of A, which is 12, minus 10, which is 2, times, I should flip 3 and 4, so then this is 4 and this is 3. And then I should put minus sign here and minus sign here, which is minus 5, minus 2. So this will be my A minus 1. So if I multiply the whole matrix with the scalar number 1 over 2, then A minus 1 should be 2 minus 5 over 2 minus 1 and 3 over 2. So this is A minus 1. Now, if I'm going to multiply A minus 1 times B to find X, first of all, I should check it. Can I multiply A minus 1 times B? Of course, because A minus 1 has the same size of A, 2 by 2, times B, which is 2 by 1, so I can cancel 2, and then the answer will be 2 by 1. All right? So if I multiply this A minus 1 by B to find X, I know that B is what? Is 5, 2. Then the answer should be also 2 by 1. So it is 2 times 5 minus 5 over 2 times 2. So 2 times 5 is 10, minus 5 is 5. Then the second row will be minus 1 times 5, which is minus 5, plus 3 over 2 times 2, and this should be minus 2. So guys, this is X. And what is X? X is x1, x2, which means, guys, that x1 will be equal to 5 and x2 will be equal to minus 2. And remember, these are the values that we found by hand. So these are the values that we found by hand by multiplying the second equation by minus 3 over 2 and do the sum. And this means, guys, that I can find X by only finding the inverse of A and multiplying it by B. And this is a general rule. So this general rule could be also applied for any size matrix as long as A is a square. So even if A is an n by n matrix, X, which is the number of unknowns, of course, should be what? N by 1, because the number of unknowns should be equal to the number of equations, and then B will be, of course, n by 1, because I can do the simplification of n. How can I find X? I can multiply both sides by A minus 1, and then X will be equal to A minus 1 times B. Now, if this is a 2 by 2 matrix or 1 by 1 matrix, you can find A minus 1. Now, if A is huge, you should find A minus 1 using Matlab. And this will be the first problem that we'll be solving using Matlab. So what I want you guys to do basically at the end of this matrix review is to solve the problems that are present here. You can find this PDF in the resources file. I want you to solve them using your knowledge on matrices because in fact I want you to see the improvement and the gain of time whenever we solve them using Matlab. Thank you and see you in the next video where we will start the overview on Matlab.